Alright guys, so we have the results displayed fine, and we have our next button, and it's not doing anything yet because we haven't created the next function, which this is going to. But before we do that, I just want to make the button look a little better. So I'm going to go to the CSS, and first of all, the button container, I'm going to add a margin top of 25 pixels. Okay, and then the actual buttons, which have a class of paging button, I'm going to give it a background of gray, padding of 8 and 13, border will be gray, 1 pixel solid, and let's see, let's give it a border radius of 5 pixels, color dark gray, margin 10 pixels, and cursor we want to be a pointer. Alright, so that should make it look a little better. There we go. Alright, so let's go ahead and build the next page and previous page functions, which are basically going to do the same thing as the search, except we're just going to pass in the next page token. Alright, so under our search function, we'll say next page function. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy everything from the search function. Okay, so everything goes to here. Alright, so everything in between search and its ending curly brace, I'm going to copy and paste right in here. Alright, now I'm going to create an additional variable here called token, and I'm going to set that to let's see, an ID next button dot data token. Alright, so basically that's going to come from the data attribute. Down here, if we look at our generated buttons, for the next button, which is right here, we're passing in, whoops, this is wrong. This ID should be previous button. Alright, so we're looking at the next button, and we're passing in a data token which has the actual next page token from the request, and it also has a property called data query, so we're going to grab that as well. Alright, so using this data function is how you can grab those attributes. Okay, you don't actually put in data token, even though that's the name of the attribute. You just want to use dot data and then the second word. Alright, so we'll do the same thing with the query. We'll say next button dot data query. Actually, I want this to just be Q. Alright, and then if we go down here, we just want to pass in an additional option here called page token, and we're going to set that to token. Alright, and that's really it. The rest of it stays the same. So let's save that, reload, do a search. Okay, we have a next button, next. Alright, let's go on to the next page. Previous isn't doing anything because we need to create that function, which is going to be extremely similar to next. So I'm just going to copy that whole thing. Where is it? Right to here. Alright, so under next, we'll do previous. Alright, we want to grab the previous button data. Alright, I think everything else should be the same. Okay, it's in the variable token, so this doesn't matter. Alright, so let's try that. Okay, so web design, search, next. Okay, we can go next, fine. Let's go back. Previous goes back to the first page, which doesn't have a previous. Alright, so it's working perfectly. So the final thing that I want to do is the Lightbox. Okay, so we want to be able to click on a video and have the Lightbox show up so we can watch it. Alright, so we're going to use something called Fancy Box. Just search for it. Alright, so let's go ahead and download it. It's going to take us to this page, and we want to go to License and Download, and Download. Okay, so that's going to give you a zip package. If you open that up, go to Source, and we have quite a few things here we need to bring over to our file structure. Okay, so for the JavaScript folder, we want to bring over this Fancy Box pack. Okay, we want to bring that over. And then if we go into helpers, we want the buttons JavaScript, media, and thumbs JavaScript. Okay, bring those over. Now the CSS, we want to bring the buttons and thumbs CSS, and also this here, CSS. Alright, and the images, let's go to our images folder, and I believe we already have them. Yeah, I put them in there at the beginning of this chapter. If you haven't, then just take all the images out and put them in there. Okay, take this buttons. Okay, so I already have it. Alright, so now let's go to our index page, and we have to make sure we include all these files. So our CSS, okay, I forget what it was called. Fancybox, jQuery.fancybox.css. And I'm not sure. I don't think we need these buttons and thumbs. I'm just going to leave those for now. I don't think we need those. I don't think we actually need to include them. Alright, so let's go to the JavaScript. Okay, so let's see. I want this to go to jQuery.fancybox.pack.js. Alright, and then we need to call the plugin. So I'm going to create another script here. And we're going to say document.ready. Okay, so when the document's ready, we want to run a function. And this function is going to take the Fancybox class, alright, that we'll create, and it's going to call the Fancybox plugin. Alright, so that's it. Now we need to do some things for it to actually pick up on these videos and be able to open them. We need to surround the video title with a link with a specified class, with this Fancybox class. So we need to go to the JavaScript, and inside of the get output down here, we have this h3 around the title, and that's it. We need to make a link inside of here. Okay, so right here, let's start and say a class class is going to be FancyBox, and then also FancyBox dot iframe. Okay, so that'll be the class. Let's see, what else do we need here? We need the href. Href equals. Alright, so this is going to go to the YouTube. It's going to point to the actual YouTube video. Alright, so it's going to go to http www.youtube.com/embed/ and then we need the video ID, so we need to concatenate that on video ID. Alright, and that should be good. Let's close that A tag. Alright, so it's actually the embed code, so it's not the actual YouTube URL. Alright, so let's just try that for now. Alright, so we have links on the titles. If I click it, alright, so it's going right to the video in another page. So something's off. Huh. Alright, so I'm seeing the problem here. This class we have is FannyBox. Okay, so this should be FancyBox. Alright, so I'm going to try it again. There we go. Alright. So that's it. One more thing. You can see that we don't have our close button up here or any arrows or anything. That's because the image path is wrong. Alright, so what we need to do is to go into jQuery.fancybox.css, and I'm just going to search for the images here. Image. Okay, so you can see this here. This is just going right in the same directory looking for this image, and it needs to go back out and then into image. Okay, same thing with these. Alright, so let's see if that works. Alright, good. So now we have our play button. Oh, actually, no, that was there. We have the close button. I guess we don't, well, yeah, I guess we don't need arrows. Why would we? Yeah, so that's good. I think we're done. Yep. Alright, so that is our YouTube search engine. I know this chapter was a little long and maybe a little difficult to understand, but just go through it, maybe watch it again, really get a feel for the data API and what you can do, because you'll be able to build some really cool apps if you can really get the hang of it. So I hope you learned a lot, and I will see you in the next project.